Dumela, let us do the last question of the last year's exam, which is question 4. It's a manufacturing question out of 38 marks, 23 minutes. And the information relating to Watson Watches is given. Watson Watches is a South African manufacturing company that manufactures a specialized extreme sport watch. The factory occupies 400 square meters, the administration offices 200 square meters, and sales offices 300 square meters. I might need that information for later on. For now, I'm just going to highlight it. Factory is 400 square meters. Admin is 200 square meters. Sales is 300 square meters. Done. Then they say the financial year ends on the 28th of February. That is also key. Highlight it. And they gave us direct and indirect material, which is the first part. We will be dealing with just direct and indirect material. Then they say the following balances were extracted from their financial records. For last year, when it comes to direct labor, because last year will be 2022 or 1 March 2022. The end of the year will be the 28th of February 2023. Now we have an opening balance for raw materials, which is 1,350,000, and the closing balance for raw materials is 2,190,000. Now, those two balances, I will take them straight to my direct material cost. And the 1,350,000, I will show it without brackets. And the 2,190,000, I will show it with brackets. And let me see. If we are given, we are asked to prepare the direct material note. Indeed, we are. So here they said, complete the following notes to the production cost statement for the year ended 28th of February 2023. They gave us raw materials. The opening balance, as I said, which is 1,350,000, I will show it without brackets. And the 2,190,000, I will show it with brackets. And that's what most students don't do. That closing balance, if you don't show it with brackets, you do not get marks, guys. We don't care whether it's right or not, but it's wrong immediately if you don't put it in brackets, because you will be calculating raw materials using the production process. You'll be using the wrong value. You are simply saying the closing stock of raw materials, if you show it without brackets, has been taken to the production cost. And that is wrong, guys. Don't try to be Marcus Eustace here, okay? Don't use creative accounting, because that will compromise your marks. All right. Show it with brackets. Last year when we marked this, if the closing balance was not in brackets, you do not get marks at all. No marks, no brackets, no marks. All right. I also saw the indirect materials. The opening balance was 160,000 and the closing balance is 250,000. And indirect materials, we normally find them under factory overheads. So let's quickly go to factory overheads. Now the 160, I will show it as positive. Obviously here I can't say, I'm going to put my workings in brackets, but now I can't put the closing balance in brackets. I'll just say minus, okay, because it's not a table, okay. And so basically I'm going to take the 160, put it with a positive sign. Obviously if it's positive, you don't write it. And the 250, because it's the closing balance, I'm going to show it as a negative, okay. When you calculate indirect material, you calculate it exactly the same way as when you calculate raw materials that were taken into production. That's it. And what am I going to do with this information now? Because I've dealt with it, I'll just do this. The one that relates to factory space, I know I will need that. Okay, so I'll keep it as it is. Let's move on to B. B says that raw materials worth 4,455,000 were purchased on credit. Interesting. So what am I going to do with that? Take it to my raw materials note and put it as purchases then, right? And then let's move on. Let's move on. What else are they saying? In C, 200 worth of raw materials were not of the required standard and were returned to the supplier. Okay, so I'm going to go to my purchases that I've just recorded and then subtract that value since they were returned to the supplier. Done. Let's move on. Move on. Move on. Point by point. You're collecting marks. Don't just read for free. Nothing for Mahala here. And it says that the following figures relate to the carriage of goods. Import duties of raw materials is 80,215. That adds to the cost of raw materials. So I will go straight to my raw materials. This is raw material. They set input duties relating to raw materials. If they said indirect, I was going to take it to factory overheads. Here they said raw materials, so I'm taking it straight to raw materials, and I will include it there as input duties, okay? And that'll be 80,250, right? Let's move on. And it says delivery of raw materials to the factory. This is carriage inwards. Carriage inwards is added to the cost of raw materials. So I will take that and put it as carriage inwards. You add it to the cost of raw materials, right? So it's you transporting your raw materials from the supplier to the manufacturing plant. That is included as part of the cost of your raw materials. Okay. What if we are transporting these raw materials to our customer? Now that is a totally different story. The cost there will be included under selling and distribution. I hope it makes sense. We're still good, right? All right. Let's move on. Now they say a refund for the non-delivery of raw materials was received. Now they didn't say what this refund is for. And I assumed that we bought those raw materials worth 4 million something. We returned 200,000. And then again, in that 4 million something, 1,750 raw materials were not delivered. They didn't mention what that 1,470 was for. Was it for delivering or was it for the purchase of raw materials? That's where Teresa was not clear. So all I'm going to do, you could have subtracted this from carriage inwards or carriage or delivery cost, but I subtracted because it was not clear. It said non-delivery of raw materials. It did not say that that 1,750 related to the delivery cost. It did not say that. Okay, it could be the cost, but however you treated it, you still get a mark. Okay, as long as you show that it reduces the cost of your raw materials. So here it will reduce the cost of my purchases. And if you wanted to include it on the carriage, it will reduce your carriage cost. As long as it's shown in brackets, that is key, guys. In total, my total purchases will be 4,253,250. Done with that. Okay, 7 marks in the back. I'm celebrating now. Guys, we're moving. And then it says in E, indirect material of 930 were purchased. That's good. Okay. So these were purchased. I'm going to add it to my opening balance of indirect materials that were purchased during the year. And I'm going to stop right there. Go and record that. Okay. They were purchased during the year. So I'm just going to add them quickly. Done. And then I close my brackets. I'm done. Let me move on. What else do they say? And then they say 15% of all indirect materials are used in the administration and sales department. So 15% goes to those departments. Okay, so the balance is used in the factory. So it means that your raw materials will be out of 100%. Okay, let's calculate this quickly. So what are you going to do? You will simply say 100% minus 15, and then you will get 85%. So 85% of raw materials were used of not raw materials, guys, of indirect materials were used in the factory. and that amount of indirect material that was used in the factory, we will include it as under factory overhead. So not all our raw materials were used at the factory, only 85% of all of them. Okay, so you have to first calculate indirect materials that were issued to production, and only 85% of that was for the production at the factory. So meaning that the other indirect materials were used in other departments, which is sales and administration. So we're only interested in factory overheads, and the factory overheads is all the costs that relate to the factory but are indirect. And that would be 714,000. Done again. Okay. The second bracket there was not required. It was really not necessary. I don't know why I included the second bracket there. It was really not necessary. I'm just going to get rid of it. Okay. And now it should look nicer. Yeah, it does look nice now. Now you have that 714,000. Okay. Let me move on. And then for number 2, it says that it relates to labor. Oh, so we're done with indirect. Guys, please, when you get stuck, go back and check my videos on production, manufacturing. They're all there. Okay, check them out. If you get a little bit confused, just go back and check out the videos. All right. Now it says here, the factory supervisor took home a net salary also. Basically, this is what was paid to the factory supervisor's account. First of all, this says that I'm dealing with indirect labor. Okay, factory supervisor, factory foreman, factory manager, factory cleaner, factory security, factory, uh, what am I forgetting? Anyone that works in the factory, but is not directly involved in making a product is indirect labor. So this person at night, when the phone rings, this person got 173,760. It was paid into their account. It's the final amount that was paid into their account. Okay, so this is after all the deductions. Okay, and then they say after 34% deductions of UIF and pay-as-you-earn and pension were made. I'm gonna keep reading because that net annual salary is a take home. So it's after all the deductions. I just want to read further. And then they say he also has an annual deduction of 84,000 Rand for medical aid. Huh. So how do I calculate my gross salary? Because I know, guys, I definitely know I need my gross salary. That's my actual expense. If you did the income statement, you will know when immediately when they say blah, 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 a worker's salary was omitted, look for gross salary. Only the gross salary goes to the income statement. And after you have calculated your gross salary, you deal with contributions, not deductions, guys. We don't care about deductions because deductions are paid by the employee. They are deducted from the employee's gross salary, even though it's us that are deducting from the employee's gross salary, but they are taken from the employee's salary. We have nothing to do with that except that the third party requires us to pay it. We are paying it on behalf of the employee. But on top of what the employee is paying towards that medical aid, we might make an extra contribution. That extra contribution increases cost to company. Okay, so it's grocery and contributions by the employer. Those increases cost to company. You got it. Good. Um, and I always say to my kids, I normally give them this example. It's I got a job in one of these fancy schools, and it falls under Advertech, I think. It's Trinity House something. All right. I think it was Trinity Houtland Vista. Okay. And well, the school is beautiful, it's nice and everything. But what made me not to accept the offer is the fact that I wanted to leave the legacy where I am. I need the accounting department to be the best, you know. And yeah, I'm not ready yet to leave my kids. And one of the reasons why I couldn't take the offer, it looked so nice. And I'm simply advising you in the future. Sometimes you need to look at what the company is giving you. So there's a company, let's say company X, which is Glenvista in this case, says that we're gonna give you 60,000 rand as a gross salary, right? But in that 60,000 rand, we will not pay for your education. We will not pay for your medical aid. We will not pay for your pension. So basically, you will have to take that 60,000 rand and pay for your pension, pay for your medical aid, pay for everything, basically. Okay. Versus company Y, which is Veritas College in this case, which says that, well, we're not going to give you that much grocery. We'll just give you a grocery of, let's say, 50,000 rand. Okay. And in this grocery of 50,000 rand, on top of that, whatever you contribute to the medical aid, we're going to contribute, let's say, 5,000 rand. Okay. Whatever you contribute to the pension, we're going to contribute double that. So let's say to my pension, I contribute 1,000 rand, so they will contribute 2,000 rand. All right. And what else? And then they say, if your child comes here, we're going to give you, let's say, 90% discount. And if my son's school fees is 10,000 rand per month, that means I'll only pay 1,000 rand. That 9,000 rand is the extra contribution. But I know that the numbers here might not add up. Um, Now, I just want you to see what the cost to company is, but I'll just come up with random numbers. Okay. Remember the other school said that we're not giving you anything. We're just going to give you this amount of money. We're not giving you even the 13th check, right? Here, I'm looking for my pen here. Oh, here it is. So I'm going to take the 50,000, right? And I'm going to add the 9,000 for school fees, which is what Veritas is contributing, all right? And then I'm going to add if I contribute 1,000 rand to my pension, they will contribute 2,000 rand. If I then they will contribute a fixed amount of 5,000 rand to my medical aid. So whether my medical aid is 2,000, they'll contribute all of it, obviously, if it's 2,000. And so meaning I don't pay anything. If my medical aid is 5,000, they'll contribute 5,000. I don't pay anything. If my medical aid is 6,000, they will pay 5,000. I only have to pay 6,000 from my salary. So check this out. So basically, this is how much Veritas will give me as gross salary versus the 60,000 rand. But note that when it comes to Veritas, am I getting the 66,000 rand into my bank account? The answer is no, guys. No. But it's the cost to company. So the cost to company at Veritas is higher than cost to company at Trinity House and Vista. Do you get the difference though? Um, Even though that one looks lucrative, guys, you don't look at the cash value. You look at the benefits as well. And that's what I'm simply talking about. That's what cost to company is. It is the grocery plus any contribution, extra contributions by the employer. I hope that example would clear everything out. We good. Great. Now, they're saying here, so I have that salary and it's after deducting 34%. So I know that of my of my gross salary, 34% goes to to UIF and then to UIF pension and pay as you earn. Okay. So this is my gross salary. Okay. That's what they're going to do. But now I don't have my grocery. So I'm just going to try by all means to get my grocery before, well, just after those deductions, my grocery just after those deductions. Okay. So what am I going to do? Percentages are quite tricky. So I'm going to take the 48,000 rand and add it with that 173,760. For 8,000 rand, add it with that 173,760. whatever I have there, I know that it will be 66%. Yes, it'll be 66%. Meaning that already the 34% has been deducted from whatever is left. So that's how they calculated this, okay? And let me just go straight to it. Where's my workings here? Where's my workings? Where's my workings? Oh, here it is, over here. Okay. Please note what I'm going to do here. I'm simply going to take that 173,760 at the 48,000 Rand. Okay. And guys, you must read the question carefully. And I'm sure by now you know when it comes to someone's salary, which deductions are taxable and which ones are not taxable. All right, that is key. Okay, so what I know is that if I add the 48,000 with 173,760, I will simply get, that will be my 66%. But I want my grocery, my total grocery. So I'm going to multiply by 100 and divide by what I have, which is 66. And that will give me 336,000. And that 336,000 will be my gross salary. And then I will leave it there. Just leave it there and move on. What else do they say? And then they say that the business contributes a total of 9% of the gross earnings of all employees towards their pension and UIF. All right. So basically, I'm going to take that gross salary that I've just got and just, because that's what the business is contributing. I'm just adding the contribution. Remember what I said with my Trinity House and Veritas College story. Okay. Even though I didn't give you accurate values, but I'm just giving you an idea of what the gross salary is and what contributions due to a person's salary. So what I'm going to do, guys, is just to take my grocery that I've just calculated, even if it's wrong. Okay, you will take it. I know most of you guys probably got decimals. As long as you took that decimal and you multiplied it by 9%, you got your mark. Okay. We can't penalize you more than once. So what am I going to do here? I'm simply going to take that 336,000 times it by 9% and add the two up, they will give me my indirect labor, which is my grocery. Grocery is this one here. And then you add the 336,000. Okay. That's it, guys. All right. We good? You sure? Okay. Let's move on. The next question, because I'm guided by these, by the way. So I'm done with this page. I'm done with this page. I'm done with this page. Okay, I'm done with this page here. Let's move on to the next one. These are just general expenses. They say the following totals were extracted from the pre-adjustment trial balance on the 28th of February, 2022, which is good. And we have our rent expense there. We have insurance. We've got security costs, which is good. All of these, guys, you need to read carefully. Not all of them will go to my factory overheads. Only expenses that relate to the factory will go to the factory overheads. So that 336,480, you first have to, it's because it was in the pre-adjustment trial balance, it's what we have paid, guys. And the norm is that, firstly, you have to determine the actual expense incurred, not the actual expense paid, the actual expense incurred. It's an expense that you have that fall within the current financial year. So basically, it's an expense that you have already incurred. I don't know how to explain incurred in essence, but the service has been done for you. In this case, we have stayed at the property already. All right, we have stayed at the property already, and we use that property to generate our income. So we need to only recognize, when it comes to that rent, we need to recognize what we have used to generate income, not what we have paid, but what we have used to generate income. So the rule when it comes to expenses is that you adjust first. So you apply your adjustment as you land under the income statement. You adjust first, before you allocate, I call it adjust before allocating. Adjust before allocating. So to adjust in means that calculate the actual expense incurred first before you can allocate to different departments. Are we clear on that? So I'm going to take, they say here, rent is paid 1 month. You see what I'm talking about? In advance. That's a problem. So it means that 636,480. It is not rent for 12 months. Instead, it is rent for 13 months. And that is a problem. And they say, obviously, if they said rent remained the same, we're going to just take that 636,480 divided by 13. And the answer that we get there, we subtract it from 636,480. And then whatever is left, we multiply it by, I don't know how we can allocate here. I'll read better. They say, we allocate as per the floor space. Remember the floor space I gave you earlier on? Occupied by each department, but when we prepare the factory overheads, we only care about the floor space occupied by the factory. And then they say rent was increased by 4,680 on the 1st of October 2022. So I'm just going to ignore everything about the allocation here, and I'm just going to focus on the adjustments. Guys, so obviously I did my BCom adverts, and I remember I was struggling a little bit because I'm from a township school and I get to say speaking like it's English. Why? Whilst in my matric, my teacher used to mix. I'm from Tusas Chava Secondary School, which is in Bopki. Bopki is in the south of Lenasia, south of Joburg, next to Annandale and Lodi. And obviously for us to understand, teachers at times they had to switch. So they will explain a concept and then apply Sesotho, use Sesotho to explain it. And then you get to words, there's no switching. It's just English. I even got there late because I didn't have fees and stuff. So I was still sorting stuff out. And I remember I went to one of the lecturers. She was teaching computational maths, right? And financial maths, which is the financial maths that you guys are currently doing. You read the English, but you have to apply that theory that you're learning and make sense out of it. And I couldn't get it. And I went to the lecturer. How do I forget her name? How do I forget it? She was a wonderful lecturer. I forgot her name. I'm trying to remember her name. I forgot her name. And I went to her and I said, I don't understand the thing here. And one question that she asked me was, before she said something that really hurt me that I'll never forget. One question that she said to me was, when you were trying to do this, did you draw the timeline? And I said no. And then because I was late, I was 2 weeks late. You understand that? Not even 2 weeks. It was like I joined late February. Okay. So they had already done a lot of things. And financial maths in accounting is key. You need to know the future values, the payments, and all of those things. And then she said to me, maybe you're not Edward's material. You must just go. I remember I went home crying and I'm like, I quit this thing. I want to go to UJ because UJ, I knew that it has the best school of accounting. It is, I still believe it is. It has the best school of accounting. And I remember my mom saying, hey, man up, you're gonna go back to it and you're gonna handle your situation, you're gonna sort it out. And obviously I went back to Wits because obviously I graduated from there. And this is one thing. Because all she needed to say to me was that for you to understand financial maths, just draw the timeline, not the other gibberish that she said thereafter. Sometimes lecturers can be so heartless. And all she has to say, she had to say was to say to me, and she was a wonderful guy. I mean, I think I got 100% in one of her tests in order just to prove a point. All she has to say was that when you do financial maths, and I'm advising you even now, when you do accounting, it's very important for you to draw your timeline. Even when you do financial maths, draw your timeline and make sure you don't mess up your timeline. Don't quit yet, but draw the time. And you'll thank me later once you've done that. Okay, so I'm going to draw my timeline here. I included one block because I know 1 month is outside the financial year, but the most important day is the beginning of the year. And this is what I do. Most of my students, it's not time wasting if you're going to get it right, but I feel like it's time wasting. They will include all the months: March, April, May, June, July, August, September, until no, I don't care. I only care about the beginning and the end and the extra month that I actually paid for. And when the increase happened, that's all I care. And now when you count, guys, there's this thing when I was at, I did my practicals at King Edward. It's a beautiful school in next to Shabir Sheikh Haven there, somewhere in, um, I don't remember. It's not Parktown, this place. There, man, next to Parktown Boys. And when I was there, I I did my practicals there. They were writing physics paper. I think they were writing physics paper. And physics students, there's this thing that they love doing. I don't know what it means, but there's this thing where they put a thumb and then they they make their forefinger circular and then they do this direction thing and then they twist it and stuff. And they do that during the actual physics exam. And I realized that when I'm invigilating accounting students, I don't see them raise their fingers. Use your fingers to check if everything is correct. Okay, just use them for the right purpose. Understand that everyone is stressed out in the exam, and you rather look stupid and get full marks than to look smart and get nothing. One mistake here, you're done, guys. One mistake, you're done. And immediately when you make one mistake and you get decimals, already you're demotivated. Because you know that in accounting, when you get a decimal, oh, especially if it's not weighted average or it's not apps, you know you're done. Okay, so use your fingers. Count all the time. So it's March, it's 1. It's March, April, May, June, July, August, September. I don't count October. Immediately when I look at October and I realize it's the 1st. I don't count it. But if it was the 31st, I was going to include it, but I don't include it. So I'm left with 7. You realize that you're pointing your finger. That's 7, by the way. That's 7 months. Okay. So basically it was X for 7. All right. But then after 7 months, it increased. Percentage increases, we normally deal with them in grade 8 maths. Fortunately, I teach grade 8 maths. That's where I actually, when I get to financial maths, I get so excited because that's when I have to teach the math that has to do with accounting. Okay. Which I think altogether it must be a separate topic, which is I try to incorporate it in my videos as well. And then you're gonna ask yourself, it increased, all right? It increased. If it's increasing by an actual value, the rand value, you add to X. If it increases by a percentage, you take that percentage increase, you add it to 100%, and then you times it by X. So let's check. It increased from October, which is, I'm going to include it because it's the 1st. So it's October, November, December, January, February, March. That is 6 months. So it was X plus 4,000, I forgot, 4,680 for 6 months. I'm including March because that March was paid for. You got it. And if I add these two, they must give me that 636,480. I hope this will help you guys. A big deal. Okay. So now what am I going to do? I'm going to take this and then I'm going to multiply it by that. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to multiply it by that. Okay. And I got 6x, so 6 times 4,680, it'll give me 28,080. Okay. And then I'm gonna add this to here, and that'll give me 13x. All right. And then take the 28,008 to the other side and subtract it from 636,480. I'll get 608,400. And when you divide both sides by 13, you will get 46,800. But this is X, guys. Remember, X was before the increase. And the month that we want is after the increase. We don't want that much. We don't want that much. Wow. That is bars. We don't want that much, okay? So we just want you to take it out. Really want just a smaller thing. We don't want that much. All you're gonna do is to take that 46,800 to find the match, which is 4,680, and make sure that it matches out. You take it out. So basically for March, it was 51,480. That must match out. You must take it out. Okay. And we don't want it, as I've said. So it has matched out. In essence, our rent expense will be that 636,480 minus a 51,480. Our actual rent expense will be 585,000. And that rent expense, I don't know how they allocated rent here. Let me just check. According to the floor space. So I'm going to add my floor space. I said it's how much? It was 400 plus 200, which is 600 plus 300, which is 900. But I think the 400 related to the factory. So I'm going to multiply by what I want, which is the factory 400 and divided by the 900. So it'll be 400 divided by 900, and that's how I will allocate that 585,000. Okay, but you can show it in brackets if you want to, like I've done here, and that will give you rent for the factory, which is 260,000. Done, just like that. Okay. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on. And then it says that water and electricity used cost. I need you to understand in the previous one, guys, that will be prepaid expense. So if we were preparing, because I just want to incorporate everything. If we were preparing the notes to the financial statements, you will include it under receipts, all right? So here they say water and electricity used cost 6,000 per month. The administration office uses 14%, and the sales department uses 6%. The factory uses the rest. Okay, that's good. So for me to find the correct, oh, they're just giving us that water and electricity. I'm just gonna multiply it by 12. I thought we have water and electricity that we need to adjust. And then I'm gonna, whatever I get there, I will multiply it by, let me just show you the calculation here. So all of them will be 100%. So I'll take 100 and then minus the 14% that belongs to sales and minus the 6 that belongs to, wait, the 14 belongs to admin, the 6 belongs to sales. And then whatever I'm left with is for factory. And that one goes straight to factory overheads. Okay. And so I will simply find 80% of 6,000 times 12. So you first adjust, which will give you 72, 6,000 times 12, and then you allocate with that 80%. That will give you 57,600. Okay. Let us move on. Let me move on. Let me move on. Then they say the insurance premiums have remained unchanged for the year. Half of the insurance is allocated to the factory. So I'm just going to take that insurance of 70,200. You can divide it by 2. Well, here you don't need to adjust. You just allocate. Okay. But I multiplied it by 50% because it's the same as though you're dividing it by 2. And that is 35,100. All right. Let's read further. It says that security costs have remained unchanged throughout the year. The invoice for February 2023 has not been paid. All costs are allocated to the guarding of the factory. Do you see? Security guarding of the factory. That means all of it goes to the factory. But now we can't use that 104,500. The fact that they said remained unchanged, I can just take that and divide it by 11. That is, I need to adjust here so that I can get the actually, what am I highlighting? I'm here, guys. Okay, I'm here. So I'm just going to take those security costs and divide them by 104,500. I'm going to take 104,500 and divide it by 11. That's all I'm going to do. And then it will give me my security cost per month. That's security cost per month. I will just add it to 104,500. Then I have allocated. That means that the other one was an accrued expense because I've incurred it. I've used their services, but I've not paid for them. So I've incurred that extra month, which is for February, which falls within the current financial. So the rent, the security cost for February is missing. So I don't like the long way. So all I'm going to do is multiply by what you want, divide by what you have. I want 12 months. So I'm going to multiply by 12 and divide by 11. And it'll give me what I need. And all of it goes to the factory. Okay, so that's it. If they were asking for administration cost, I was gonna, as I allocate here, I was gonna take them to administration as I allocate selling or whatever. But in this case, they did not ask for them. That's why I'm just putting all of them under factory. Okay. And that's it, guys. That's it. Done. Okay, let me move on. When I move on, what do I have? I was here, right? And when I move on, I come to this side. They have production costs. The following balances were extracted from their financial records. They gave me work in progress beginning as well as end, finished goods beginning as well as end, and then they gave me sales. But the the markup on cost was 150%. So I see what they're trying to do here. I see what they're trying to do here. Guys, I'm missing direct labor. I'm missing direct labor. So I can't use my production cost statement to calculate my production costs, okay? Because I think that's what they will ask for. I'm assuming, actually. Let me check. I was right. They are asking for production cost. How? What is happening now? It's not showing me what I need to see. They want us to calculate our production. Here. They want me to calculate our production cost of finished good. So normally you will take your prime cost, which is direct material plus direct labor, but I'm missing direct labor. So now I can't get my prime costs. And at least they were supposed to give me prime costs then. Then I was going to take prime costs, add it to factory overheads, and then add work in progress at the beginning of the year, subtract work in progress at the end of the year, and then I'll get my production cost. But I can't do that because they also didn't give me prime cost. They didn't give me a way of calculating prime cost. So the only thing that I'm left with is to calculate cost of sales. Do you remember how you calculate cost of sales? Normally you take your opening balance of finished goods, which was given to us right now, which is 6,320,000. Excuse me. Then you add cost of production of finished goods, which will come from your production cost statement, which we don't have. And then you subtract closing stock, which is closing stock of your finished goods. You put it in brackets, which is 7,280,000. But now, when you take opening plus production cost minus closing, it's supposed to give me cost of sales. But again, I didn't have cost of sales. But here I could manipulate it because they gave me sales, all right? They gave me sales. Let me check how much were my sales. Where are my sales? Oh, here we are. So all I'm going to do is to use this guy here to calculate what I need. So I will take my sales of, it's 16,375,000, and then you multiply it by 100, then you divide it by 100 plus the markup of 150. See, most of you would have just divided by 150. I've been teaching accounting for a while. I know the mistakes that you make. Do everything like you're stupid. Don't try to be smart. The dumber you act, the better you. You see, I took 100 divided by 100 plus 150. Some of you are like, but why such a long process? You would have made a wrong mistake because you would have divided by 150 because you think you're smart. See, I act dumber and I get things right, which is what matters, guys. Okay, so let's see how much this will give me. It'll give me 6,550,000, which is my cost of sales, and I will just put it here. You see, unlike My production cost statement, while I was missing prime cost, I was missing direct labor. Here I was missing two things, but they gave me a way of calculating the other one. Please check my videos on manufacturing. I have an example like this, okay? So basically here, my cost of sales will be that. And then guys, you work from the bottom up. And when you work from your bottom up here, you will take that 6,550,000, add that 7,280,000, minus that 6,320,000, and that will give you your production cost, which will be 7,510,000. Done. The next one, what do they want? Calculate the percentage increase in work in progress. That one, guys, you just find the difference and then you divide by last year's. That's all. So you will take work in progress closing minus work in progress opening, and then you divide by work in progress opening. And then you times it by 100, you get your percentage. That was easy, guys. 2 marks. Just like that. This question here, we argued with Andrew for a while when it comes to this question. And I'm still convinced that this question was a little bit tricky. I'm still convinced that my answer was right here. They said briefly explain why the increase in work in progress could be seen as a reason for concern. You see, why it could be seen as a reason for concern. And they didn't focus more on that reason for concern. Now, note that work in progress, guys, indicates that watches are still in production. Why will that be a reason for concern for me? It's because, guys, if you were assembling a watch and then you leave it there and then you're going to come back to it next year, what are the chances that you won't make a mistake? And I think with watches, you use those spectacles where you have to zoom and stuff. There's a high chance that you will make more errors and you will damage them more. So that is a cause for concern because it has gone up. So it means that you're leaving a lot of watches unfinished, and that could lead to a lot of damages. Another thing is that it means that we are not selling stock as fast as we are producing. So sometimes you lower your production, because you realize that you're not selling enough. Because watches are technological stuff and they change every year. So probably you just don't want to finish them now to the extent that you're left with finished goods that you can sell because of technological development. So that is the reason for concern. It's maybe because it indicates that you're not selling your watches as much as you want. Now, these are my reasons, guys. I'm just thinking about them as I'm thinking right now. Okay, but it's 1 mark. Whether you get it wrong or right, guys, it's not really that much of a concern. So this is my reason. You could have your own reasons as to why you think that's a reason for concern. Okay, I think I spoke too much today. But I'm trying to explain everything thoroughly, and I'm trying by all means to make sure that you learn from the mistakes that I made. All right, you don't make the same mistake. I hope that helped you guys. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Khotso. Oh, please don't forget to subscribe. And if you need any extra lessons, please contact me. My details are under the description. Okay. Guys, watch this as many times as you want to. All right. I actually just need like 170 hours and then YouTube will start paying me. Please, guys, watch as much as you can. Okay. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribers that have subscribed to my channel from the beginning. Pretoria, though, Pretoria and Joburg North. Guys, thank you. You guys rock. You've always supported this channel from the beginning, and I really appreciate it. So number one is Pretoria. Number two is well, it's Tshwane. Number two is Kapstad, Cape Town. Number three is Joburg, which is where I'm from, guys. What's going on? Why aren't you supporting me as much as you need to? And what was number three? I think number three is KZN. I forgot. But anyway, thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. Please tell your friends about this channel. Let everyone know that it's in metric rewriting. Just let them know about the channel. Kind regards. Khotso.